Welcome back, capital F football fans, to the O&O Sports YouTube channel. Today we are going over our picks for the individual awards for this upcoming college football season. If you want to voice your opinion on the matter, be sure to go to the community tab and vote on your picks for these awards. You'll have every award listed in this video and maybe a couple extra ones for you to vote on. We're not going to be able to get to all of the individual awards in this video. We picked what we think are the main ones, the most important ones. And without further ado, let's jump right into it, starting with the Mackey Award. This award is given to the best tight end in the country, and we here at O&O Sports are predicting that Michigan's own Colston Loveland is going to be the nation's best tight end this season. Looking back at 2023, Loveland was one of the best tight ends in the country in an offense that passed the ball just barely over 40% of the time. And he was Michigan's second leading receiver by yards and third leading receiver by receptions. And he's actually coming in as the Wolverines' top returning receiving threat in 2024. And that's going to be crucial for a guy like Alex Orji, who's going to be trying to find his footing in that offense. Loveland is going to make his job a lot easier. He has a great knack for finding soft spots in the secondary. He's a pretty good short and medium route runner. Michigan didn't run him over the top a lot last year, but with his size and speed at tight end, I can imagine he wouldn't be a bad deep threat either. And he's a pretty great blocker both as a sixth lineman and on the perimeter. And we project Colston Loveland will finish the regular season with 44 receptions, just over 660 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. We don't expect him to have too much more of a role in Michigan's offense, but we do think with his size and speed, he could be utilized much more efficiently in the red zone this year, which is what we are predicting. And for our honorable mentions for the Mackey Award, we have Oregon's Terrence Ferguson. He's also a very good vertical threat. We just don't see him having the kind of volume that a guy like Loveland will have, just because Oregon's receiver room is going to be stacked this season. And second in the honorable mentions, we have a breakout candidate in Nebraska's Thomas Fidone. Fidone has been itching for a breakout year after struggling with injuries early on in his career. He's a highly rated prospect out of high school, very athletic, very talented, and with an actual quarterback running their pro-style offense, he should make for a pretty solid security blanket, but he, like the others, also has pretty solid potential as a downfield threat this year. And that was our Mackey Award prediction. Next, we have the Butkus Award, which is the best linebacker in the country. And we have Jay Higgins out of Iowa as our award winner, followed by Oklahoma's Danny Stutzman and Clemson's Barrett Carter. We'll get more into those guys in a second. We think Jay Higgins has this award locked down just by the pure volume we'll be seeing from him this year. Last season, it felt like he never came off the field despite being all over it all of the time. And where he kind of falls behind in terms of behind the line of scrimmage numbers, he makes up for in pure versatility. And he's a hard guy to scheme around because you have to account for him being anywhere and everywhere on any given play. And for Higgins' projected stats, we have him securing 83 solo tackles, should be either first or second in the country this year, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 5 pass defenses, and 2 forced fumbles. Like we said, you won't see him in the backfield a whole lot just because that's not how Ferentz wants to use him. But when they send him, you're gonna notice. And as for Stutzman and Carter, we think both of those guys are going to be elite backfield disruptors this year. We just don't think they'll be able to match the total volume of Higgins, which is why we have them finishing behind him. And after the Butkus Award going to Jay Higgins, we have the Thorpe Award, which is given to the best defensive back every season. And we think there's one clear choice, and that is Caleb Downs, which is crazy because we have 2023 Thorpe Award winner Xavier Watts just behind him, followed by Georgia's Malachi Starks, 2 All-Americans last year. And we still think Caleb Downs is the favorite, at least our favorite option to win this award. And we do admit this is a bit of a hype pick. Downs was great as a true freshman at Alabama last year, and I mean truly great. He had very high top-end speed, was good in run support, good in coverage, and showed great ball hawking abilities. He was essentially a linebacker playing in the secondary, which is scary on its own. But now he'll be in an Ohio State secondary that honestly didn't need him at all. They were already an elite unit before they added him, and now they've got him. For Downs' projected stats, we have him finishing with 63 solo tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 7 pass defenses, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown. We think his tackle numbers will drop a little bit from last year just because he probably won't have the same opportunities that he did in the SEC as he will in the Big Ten. But we have him with nice bumps up everywhere else. Ryan Day and Jim Knowles have to be super excited adding a guy like him to their defense. Very versatile, like we said. Like Higgins, you're going to feel him all over the field, even though he's a safety. He's going to be a great impact player for Ohio State this season. As for the honorable mentions, for Xavier Watts of Notre Dame, it's pretty self-explanatory. He has already won the award, so barring injury, he should be in the race to win it again. He's a great talent, great ball hawk. And for Georgia's Malachi Starks, he was already an All-American as a sophomore. He's a great lockdown guy who should make another jump in total numbers this year. We just don't think he'll be as dynamic and versatile as Downs will be this year. And following Downs and the Thorpe Award, we have the Biletnikoff Award, which is awarded to the best wide receiver of the year. And we think it has to be Luther Burden of Missouri. Vegas has him as the odds-on favorite, and we would have to agree with him. His biggest competition, in our opinion, is probably going to be Tetaroa McMillan from Arizona. Both of those guys are going to be the #1 targets in their rooms, and we think McMillan is a great deep threat, has a lot of good intangibles, great route runner, etc., etc. But we think as much of Luther Burden, and love it or hate it, Burden's gonna have a lot more eyes on him this year, and in some years, like last year, that makes all the difference. More importantly though, we think Missouri losing Cody Schrader will force Kirby Moore to scheme around the pass a bit more often, which is why we are predicting a big increase in Burden's output this year. We project him finishing with just over 1,300 receiving yards from 89 receptions, almost 15 yards per reception, and 13 receiving touchdowns. We think the race should be neck and neck with Burden and McMillan. We found it difficult to find a third guy in a position like the other two. We settled on Isaiah Bond as our third pick. We say settled, he is obviously great, but we also consider guys like Evan Stewart or Tez Johnson of Oregon. But those rooms at both Texas and Oregon are going to be stacked, and it might be much more difficult at those schools for any of those guys to truly break out the same way we think Burden or McMillan will this season. And following our Biletnikoff pick, we have the Doak Walker Award. This is awarded to the best running back every year. And warning, this is going to be a boring pick. We have a boring pick alert. We are choosing last year's award winner in Oklahoma State's Ollie Gordon. He is Vegas's favorite for obvious reasons, and he is our favorite this year. We don't think Mike Gundy and Casey Dunn are going to run a drastically different offense this year. They should run the ball around 54 to 56% of the time, and Ollie Gordon is still the top back in that room. He's still amazing, but we do think his numbers will drop off quite a bit this year. In 274 attempts, we see Gordon rushing for over 1,570 yards, nearly 6 yards per carry with 16 touchdowns. And as for receiving, we project around 40 receptions for over 300 yards, nearly 8 yards per reception, and 2 additional touchdowns. And that's really just a testament to how amazing of a season he had last year. It was one of the best in recent memory, and even though we have him coming down a bit this season, we still think he is the best running back in the country. Our honorable mentions for the Doak Walker Award are going to be Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina and Jaden Ott out of California. Two guys we think will have as good or maybe even a little bit better seasons than they did last year, but probably not quite as good as the season we're predicting for Gordon. And after Ollie Gordon and the Doak Walker Award, we have the Bednarik Award, which is awarded to the best defensive player in a given season. We are predicting none other than Tennessee's James Pierce Jr. We talked about him a good bit in our Tennessee season preview. Be sure to go watch that after you're done watching this one. He's probably going to be the #1 pick in next year's NFL draft. He is absolutely phenomenal. Reminds us of a Micah Parsons, formerly of Penn State, now a Dallas Cowboy. He's got insane explosiveness off the line, reads the play well, has great power and speed, and can hurt you in a number of ways. just probably not as good in coverage as a Micah Parsons. We project Pierce to finish the season with 15 solo tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 12.5 sacks, 3 pass defenses, 3 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. And following him, we have Iowa's Jay Higgins, who we talked about earlier, and a big sleeper pick this year in Miami's Ruben Bain Jr. Ruben Bain somehow has flown way under the radar. He had a phenomenal freshman season at Miami last year and should be in the running for an All-American honor this year. Absolutely phenomenal young pick there. But as for the winner, we have James Pierce Jr. And after the Bednarik Award, we are going to take a look at the AP Coach of the Year Award, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's the best head coach in a given year. And this year, we think it's going to be awarded to none other than Ohio State's Ryan Day. We are projecting a big year from the Buckeyes this season. If you haven't seen our Ohio State season preview, be sure to check that out after this one. Long story short, we have Ohio State finishing undefeated in the regular season, and we project they'll finish the year averaging 34.7 points per game, which would have been 14th in 2023, probably closer to 11th or 10th this year. And defensively, we have them letting up only 13.4 points per game, worse than their numbers last year, but you got to account for the Oregons of the world, who aren't going to go down as easy as a Minnesota or Michigan State. And our runners up for Coach of the Year are going to be Texas's Steve Sarkisian. We're projecting a very great season for Texas. We have them finishing 11-1 in the regular season, and we have a surprise candidate in Mario Cristobal of Miami, who we see breaking out as a team in the ACC this year. We also have them going 11-1, big upgrade there, and that's why we think Mario Cristobal will be in consideration. And following the Coach of the Year award, we have the Heisman Trophy Award. This, of course, is awarded to the best player in a given year. And this is the moment you've probably been waiting for, probably the reason you clicked on this video. We predict the 2024 Heisman Award winner will be none other than Oregon's Dillon Gabriel. We said as much in our Oregon season preview. He was phenomenal at Oklahoma, had a couple great seasons there, and a couple at UCF before that. And with the new jump to Oregon, he will have a plethora of talent to work with, plenty of great receivers, a solid O-line, and some good running backs. And most importantly, Dan Lanning and his staff at Oregon have a pretty great track record of developing quarterbacks, and they'll be able to work with one in Gabriel, who honestly doesn't need as much development, if any at all. And we think the jump to Oregon will prove to be a great decision for Dillon Gabriel. We think he'll be sharper than ever, more accurate than ever, and we project Gabriel will finish with a 71.7 completion percentage, over 3,700 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and fun fact, this would put him firmly in second place all time in passing yards and first in passing touchdowns in a career. And on top of that, we see Dillon Gabriel rushing for over 330 additional yards and 9 extra touchdowns as the cherry on top of a truly magnificent season. And the Ono honorable mentions for the Heisman Award have to go to Texas's Quinn Ewers and Alabama's Jalen Milroe. We think Milroe could be even better than he was last year, especially with Kalen DeBoer coming in to replace Nick Saban. Obviously, not to say that Nick Saban was bad, but Kalen DeBoer has a great track record of developing quarterbacks into their fullest potential. And Milroe is showing great signs early on, but we don't think he'll have the passing volume to match what we expect to see from Gabriel this year. And opposite to Milroe, we think Quinn Ewers could be as good or even maybe a little bit better than Gabriel through the air, but Gabriel will most likely have the edge on the ground, which is what we think will put him ahead of both of those guys. He's the absolute complete package in our eyes, and we can't wait to see what he can do this year. And that's going to wrap up our individual awards prediction. Like we said, go to the community tab and vote on your picks for each of these awards. We are interested to see what you have to say. And let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything we said in this video. We want to hear your opinions. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe, share it with everybody you've ever met in your life. It helps us out a lot. And with that being said, stay tuned for a full postseason prediction and a full week 0 preview. The college football season is almost here. You don't have to wait anymore. We are pumped. You should be too. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.